In mid-2022, when the doctor told me I had prediabetes, I never imagined that just over 2 years from that point, I'd be standing on stage sharing stories of people who had reversed their type 2 diabetes. People who had reversed their chronic conditions that had been told by their doctors that they were irreversible and at best they could only manage them. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why mainstream advice fails, what's behind that, and what actually works. Here's how my journey started. In mid-2022, the doctor told me I was pre-diabetic and I was an alcoholic. The options he gave me as solutions were medication related, and I didn't want to go down that road. So I asked him to give me some time to try and sort this out for myself. But this was going to be a big challenge because it's not easy to just say, don't be pre diabetic anymore, and alcoholic guy, stop drinking alcohol. But I did have one ace up my sleeve. Over the past 2 decades, I'd done keto on and off. And when I did keto, I noticed something very, very important. Of course, there's the normal things that people experience with keto, like weight loss. But whenever I'd done it before, the thing that I noticed most was I had a sudden, immense feeling of self-control that I'd never had before. And this was notable as someone who'd always been pretty impulsive, which, when you think about it, is probably related to a lot of the eating problems that I've had in the past. So, with my renewed motivation, that now a doctor had told me that I had a drinking problem and type 2 diabetes was just around the corner, I decided to give keto the best try I could. And with this sudden extra motivation and also being able to see my weight go down every day on the scale, I was able to stick to keto. And that also meant no drinking. Now, to make sure that I stayed off the drinking, I also had to adjust some other things about my habits and routines, but I was able to keep off the alcohol, keep off the sugar, and stick strictly to keto, and I was feeling good. I did experience a few problems, though, that led me to discovering Carnivore online. And the more you start looking into Carnivore, the more videos get recommended to you on your feed, the more the Facebook group starts showing up, and the further and further you go down the rabbit hole. And now that I was seeing so many people tell me that you don't need the vegetables, you don't need the fruit, you don't need these things. You can get everything you need from an animal products only diet. And as I've said before, I wasn't married to the vegetables. I was only eating them because I thought I had to. So it was pretty easy to dump the veggies, give carnivore a try, and think, well, if it doesn't work out after 30 or 60 days, I can always go back. And with my newfound friends through YouTube like Bart Kay and Sean Baker and Anthony Chafee and at the time Joey Schwartz, I was watching them every day, and this was adding to my motivation. So many people telling me I was doing the right thing, my body feeling better and better every day, and it was just so easy to stick to. In the first few weeks, I was feeling better, I had more energy, I was sleeping better, my mood was better. And of course, day to day, I was losing weight. So just that feeling of lightness every day was making me feel better all over. Couple of months in is where I saw the really big changes, when the arthritis I had in my left knee just went away. The limp I have on my right side started to improve. And the best thing is, 2-3 months into this, I wasn't thinking about sugar, I wasn't thinking about snacks, and I wasn't thinking about alcohol. So now, about 3 to 4 months in, I'm feeling amazing. I have no pain. I'm sleeping better. I'm eating only one meal a day, and I'm never hungry. And a thought suddenly hit me. Like many things in life, the counterintuitive way of doing things is often the way that works. You go to your doctor and you talk about your health and how you can feel healthier. The doctor's going to tell you, eat less, move more, reduce the amount of calories you're consuming, you'll lose weight. And when you relate weight loss and being healthy to every other area of your life, it's very counterintuitive to think, I can just and eat healthy food and eat as much as I want, then stop eating, and I'm going to be healthy and lose weight and maintain a healthy weight. But why is this counterintuitive? It's because every aspect of our lives, we have to work hard to achieve something. If you want to get a job, you've got to work hard filling out those applications, sending out those resumes, making those follow up calls, going to the interviews, putting your best foot forward, doing everything, working really hard to get a job. Once you get that job, you've got to work really, really hard to impress the boss and to impress your boss's bosses, to really show that you deserve that promotion and you deserve to progress through the organization. If you want to start a business, you've got to work long, grueling hours. You've got to put everything into it to get that business to be successful. We know if you want to be a movie star, if you want to be successful in sales, you've got to work hard. You've got to push forward. You've got to knock on as many doors as you can and have so many doors slammed in your face until you finally get someone saying yes. So when it comes to diet and exercise, suffering seems normal. Suffering seems like that's what we need to do. So if you want to lose weight, it makes sense. Reduce the calories, make sure you feel like you're starving yourself, make sure you feel like you're missing out and you're working hard and you're really trying to get over the hump of your excess weight. And of course, that feels natural because that's what we have to do in every other area of life. So when the doctor says calories in, calories out, you think, well, of course, that makes sense. When the doctor says to you, eat less and move more, of course that makes sense. Because without suffering, how are we ever going to be healthy? How are we ever going to lose weight? And of course, this mantra gets repeated by everyone on the news, in every form of media that we consume every day of our lives, whether it's family, friends, everyone. Everyone knows it's calories in, calories out. Everyone knows it's eat less and move more. So everything else seems ridiculous until you do it. When someone first tells you that just eat meat, just eat meat, just eat eggs, just eat other kinds of animal products, and when you're not feeling hungry anymore, you stop and you'll feel better and you'll lose weight. How could this be possible? It makes no sense until you consider things like the animal kingdom. There are no animals that are sitting around counting calories. There are no animals thinking, you know what, I didn't get my steps in today. Better get out there again. Animals just eat their species appropriate diet until they don't need to eat anymore. Then they stop. Then they go and do whatever they do. But we are oh so clever. We've decided that we need to starve ourselves to be healthy. And we need to starve ourselves while also filling ourselves with food that we have created, which leave us feeling even hungrier. But you know how easy it is to get over that counterintuitive feeling like this doesn't seem right, just eating meat. It's the feedback you get from your body. It's your body telling you, I feel good. This is what I've been waiting for. You're actually giving me the nutrition I've been waiting for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. But despite how good you are going to feel eating carnivore, you're still going to get a lot of pushback. You get pushback from family and friends, say, oh, you're crazy, this is weird, I could never do that. But you're also going to get pushback in the form of what you hear in the media and what doctors tell you and what all the experts are saying on Twitter and YouTube. This pushback that you receive, you should always take it with a grain of salt. You should always rely on the feedback your body is giving you, not what someone is telling you they believe is the way you should be eating. Because here's the thing, there are conflicts of interest everywhere. You know, we often talk about studies that are done, and we often talk about how These studies, they're just based on food frequency questionnaires, and they're meaningless, and it shows an association, but the association actually means nothing because there's way too many confounding variables. But the really important thing about those studies is before even reading them, we should look at the conflicts of interest of the authors and also where the funding has come from. Because if some of the people doing the research work for the food industry or pharma, or that's where the funding's coming from, it's a safe bet that you can ignore the study. And extrapolating from that, a good rule of thumb to remember: if someone is warning you about the problems with something and they're also selling you the solution, you should ignore that advice. And one example of this is how Bill Gates is constantly talking about how red meat is bad for the planet, it's bad for the climate, it's bad for your health. I could potentially take him seriously if it wasn't for the fact that he has an interest in the solution. He's got businesses he's involved with, creating butter from thin air and creating fake meat. If this was a study, we would call this a conflict of interest. You should never take seriously the person telling you about a problem who benefits when you buy the solution to that problem. And all of this really solidified for me when the Tufts Food Compass was released. Remember the nutritional guidance that recommended cereal above red meat? Surprisingly, partly funded by cereal companies. So again, just like the study with the plethora of conflicts of interest, we can just ignore that guidance. And so, if you're on your carnivore journey or you're about to get started, just think, who profits from your fear of meat? If someone advises you to eat a balanced diet, A, what does that mean? And B, who benefits from the fact that you don't really know what balance means and you're going to have to make your own guesses about that? The doctors, the media, the pharmaceutical companies that are so against carnivore or just meat in general, are they also against Fruit Loops in general? Cheerios? Why do they focus on meat? I think the answer is pretty simple. There's no profit there at any stage. And another thing, we've got all these people out there, doctors, pharmaceutical companies, media personalities, saying how bad meat is for you and the planet. But there are thousands of people out there doing a carnivore diet that say the exact opposite. All my chronic conditions have been reversed. I'm a healthy weight now. I've got over 1,200 interviews with people on my channel saying this very thing. And on that point, I'd love to share your story. And it doesn't have to be this blockbuster story. I lost 10 million pounds in 5 minutes. If you're just feeling better, clearer minded, more energy, anything at all, I'd love to hear from you. Please shoot me an email to realzerocarb@gmail.com. And if you want to discover how we got into this mess in the first place, watch this video next.